if Christ is in you and Christ is in your spouse, the way you speak to your spouse is the way you speak to Christ. And that is mind-blowing.
Jay and Laura, welcome back to Focus on the Family.
Great to be here.
It's been a while.
It has.
I think 2008, so it's good to have you back. Let's start with the basics. How long have you two been married?
Well, coming up this December, it'll be 40 years.
All right, that's a big milestone.
It is a big milestone.
Not quite the big 50.
We were set up on a blind date.
So I don't know why it's
Set up
40.
on a blind date.
Yes,
that was my wife's greatest fear.
Well,
and we were a blind date.
were you really?
That's fun.
Yes.
Well, the next morning she told her mom she was going to marry me.
Really?
And 10 days later, I asked her.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty
Okay, that's
fast.
a little fast. Most everybody went, okay, that couldn't have been right.
And the strange part, we were living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, 2 million people, and Laura managed for her path and my path to cross 8 of those 10 days. And I didn't know it then, but we have a word for that now. It's called stalking. And so,
Boy, he's really painting a picture. Let me ask this counseling question. Do you agree with his representation?
I don't like that word stalking, but yeah, sure. I did manage to make it all happen.
yes, that's right. She orchestrated it, that's for sure.
Okay, so this is in jest. So how many of those years were happy years? No, I'm kidding.
No, it's been amazing. We do like to laugh. That's one of the things that brought us together.
But let me ask about that. Does temperament play a role in that? I'm serious. I'm thinking, and again, not to stereotype, but, the engineer, the accountant, people that, laughter, it's just, they do think frivolity isn't as healthy as being serious and solving a problem.
Oh, for sure.
So does temperament play into this?
Absolutely, because we run into couples all the time because our ministry is called Celebrate Ministries. Our conferences are called Celebrate Your Marriage. So we're all about the celebration. And we run into couples all the time who are like, Jay and Laura, you guys just seem to be naturally funny. What can we do? We're not funny people. So how can we bring joy? And that is one of the things that we really pound into them, for lack of a better word, is, find some things that you enjoy. It doesn't mean you have to laugh all the time. It doesn't have to mean you tell silly dad jokes. And I think when you're enjoying each other, the laughter is going to come naturally. So for those people who may say, we're not funny people, I think that's just frivolous. Well, then find things that you enjoy doing together, and then the joy will come.
We were doing a seminar in West Michigan, and it was just like no one was laughing, and that's fine. But afterward, we had couple after couple say, that was the funniest thing we've ever experienced.
But you never heard it from the audience?
No, and so those different personality temperaments, it's fine, and we get it, but Scripture's clear. The joy of the Lord is my strength. So however you need to work in joy into your life, let's do that.
Okay, we've covered that one. I think we've got it. Laura, what are some other things? This could be the end of the program just 5 minutes in. What does it take to have a happy marriage beyond the humor and seeking those fun times?
Well, I think it takes intentionality. It takes time. It takes honoring each other, respecting each other.
Patience?
Patience. I don't like to say that word because then you get tested on patience. I grew up here. Don't say patience. Don't pray for patience. So the Lord's
still maybe polishing your patience a little?
Exactly.
Well, there's no question.
Exactly. But I think being intentional about enjoying each other. We tell couples all the time, one of our big practical tools that we try and get people to build into their daily life is 15 minutes of uninterrupted conversation.
That's good.
If you have young children, putting them in front of a TV show for 15 minutes isn't going to hurt them.
15 hours might be a problem.
That would be different, or wait till they go to bed or do it before they wake up. But having that constant, uninterrupted conversation with each other really helps with the joy, with the laughter, with the communication.
During the hard times.
Yeah, with all of the things that that life seems to throw at your marriage. When you can take that 15 minutes every day and say, hey, how was your day? Catching up with each other, having that time with each other.
Laura, let me ask you this as the wife. Sometimes I have the impression that wives are looking for the big moment, and that's what makes a difference, something profound. And, Gene and I will often have a conversation about the many little things that are getting done here, like getting up together, praying together in the morning. Speak to that, the diligence of doing so many little things well versus, the once in a while big thing being done well. And what do you think is most important? What should we be concentrating on?
I think you're right that most women look for those big moments. They're looking for their husband to make this big grand gesture. And
the 24 red roses. Boom.
2, 3.
Okay, sorry. See, I already made a mistake.
We got to do it 3.
And I always tell women it's not rocket science, and you shouldn't be looking for those. Look for those little things every day that he does that tells you that you are the most important person in his life. I'll give you this example. We are coffee drinkers. And so when we get up in the morning, we both, it's like you just gravitate to the coffee. I can't do anything else without the coffee. But when our kids were in the house and I was up first getting the children up, I would come downstairs, get everything ready. I'd have my first cup of coffee. By the time Jay got downstairs, my coffee cup was empty.
Because she told me to stay in bed and make sure the kids got dressed. And
but what he would do, it would have been very easy, very natural, very human for him to come downstairs, go right into the kitchen, fill up his coffee cup, and then come in and get my empty one. But he every morning got up, came downstairs, would get my empty cup, fill it up, then go back and get his second cup of coffee. Again, that's not rocket science.
But that is kind of what I'm talking about.
But it's a
those
little
things.
thing. Yeah, it's those little things. I don't fill my own gas tank. That's not.
Hey, wait a minute.
Oh,
I'm not around Gene at all. She's at a gas
now.
station,
Yeah.
so.
It's just those little things that you need to look for that your husband does that says he loves you.
I was challenged by a good friend to every 2 or 3 years introduce something new into the relationship that is subtle but important. And for 25, 30 years of our life, Laura made the bed in the morning. And I thought, I'll start making the bed. Wouldn't that be a nice little gesture? It's not a big thing.
Well, it depends on how well you make it.
There's the rub.
Yeah. Okay, I was already wincing. Because I'm like, throw the covers together.
I was informed that I was doing the pillows wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if we didn't have 18
You
pillows.
put the open side to the outside, right? They go to the inside, bud.
That's right, inside.
The open end, you put it to the inside.
One of the things we always do at our
At least
conferences.
we're all clear and we know how.
Which
to
way
make
do you
the
put
bed
toilet
correctly.
paper on the roll?
It's got to come over the top.
Over the top.
Over the top.
You are well
That's right.
trained.
And the real monsters in the room are the ones that just put it on the sink.
That's what a 4-year-old does.
Exactly.
Speak to the importance of date night. That's something, Greg and Aaron Smalley here, they run our marriage area and do a fantastic job with that. But that's something they really concentrate on and repeat over and over, the importance of spending regular time together, whether that's a weekly date night, whatever it might be. I think for Gene and I, that's been hard to do because we're on the move so much. And so much of what we do is fun. We're with donors, we're out doing things with people that are very interesting, but it's not a date night. And it's hard for me to confess. It's hard for me to have that discipline, but it's really important.
We have a part of our program is called the Ultimate Date Night. We travel to churches and do 90 minutes of music, comedy, and biblical truth. And we were in some small town in Ohio, and this elderly gentleman came up to me, and he said, "Remind the youngsters, what you did to get her is what you need to do to keep her." Well, what'd you do to get her?
Yeah.
You took her on dates.
Talk.
Yeah, you made her feel special. And that dating every day, or not every day, every week, hopefully, if not every month, is something that reinforces, no, you are my commitment. You are important to me. One of the times, we always try and give our couples a challenge at our conferences. And one year we did a little challenge coin that said the words "just because" on it. And the concept was, I'm going to do something for Laura just because. No other expectations. And then I give her the coin, and then same back and forth. And sometimes a little surprise date is one of those just because moments where, honey, guess what? I've cleared your schedule, I've cleared my schedule, and we're going to go for the afternoon antiquing or whatever it is that she might want to do.
Oh, my.
Yeah, sorry.
What a sacrifice.
I do think, though, lots of couples, what do we do for a date? How many times can you go to dinner and a movie? How many times? So I think just being creative, and one of the things we encourage couples to do is sit down and make a list of the things that you would like to do on a date, and then have your wife, Jean, make a list of what she would like to do on a date. Then you look at those and you combine them the best you can, and take it right then and put it on the calendar.
That's good. Let me ask you, probably the most common thing we get. That's a little dangerous to say because everybody's living a different experience, but a common issue is busyness. I mean, a lot of households now, both husband and wife are working, those with kids. I mean, the pressures are immense. The good news is just hang in. It's not going to last forever, and it's going to be really rewarding at the end, in my opinion. But that is the big issue, busyness in life. And you know what? If you knew our schedule, we can't do a date night. You don't know how busy we are. Work, the kids, school, sports clubs. There's no time for us. What do you say?
One of the things, and I don't think this is necessarily biblical, but I think we can all understand it. Satan doesn't want us bad. He wants us busy.
Yeah, that's true.
Because when we're bad, we know we're doing something against the Lord's will. But oftentimes when we're busy, well, Lord, I'm doing this for my wife. I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for the church. I'm doing it for the community. And we don't realize that every time we say yes to something, we're also saying no to something else. And so prioritizing is critical because when we can prioritize, it allows us to say yes to the things we should be saying yes to and no to the things we shouldn't.
Speak to this issue of the balance of work and home life. And again, so often this is out of kilter. It's not healthy. People must struggle to believe they can have both. I mean, I think the Lord will honor you with a solid 8-9 hours committed to work. If you work hard, you don't, dilly-dally, and you do the job well, you should be able to get home. And if your employer says, hey, I'm a little worried you're not staying late, tell them, hey, I got a priority. It's called my family.
Exactly. And I know we said these words in our wedding vows, and I'm not sure. In the traditional vows, you say a phrase similar to forsaking all others, I thee wed. And we say that and we think forsaking all others, that means I'm not going to have an affair. I'm not going to, get involved in pornography. But others can be your work, your children, schedules,
volunteerism,
wanting to make a lot of money, volunteer. Others is anything that takes you away from this relationship. I mean, the first most important relationship decision you ever make in your life is whether you're going to follow Jesus. The second is who you're going to marry. And there's no other book in the Bible, there's not a book in the Bible dedicated to money. There's not a book of the Bible dedicated to volunteerism or your work, but there is a book, Song of Songs, dedicated to marriage and the love story between a man and a woman. And when you take that relationship and as we all do, my kids, I've got kids in the house, they've got to come. My husband can take care of himself. He doesn't need me to do this, that, or the other, or we allow work to take over. We're really negating that second most important relationship in our life. And it is hard. It's hard to say, we work together. We do everything together.
Apparently that's what I prayed for years ago.
Well, that's why you're here today. We want to help you with that.
And it's hard to say, you know what, let's close the office door and let's go out to lunch and not talk about the ministry
it's a discipline.
Or what's coming. It is. Yeah. It's a discipline. That's the intentionality. And I think to get a work-life balance, you have to be and you have to communicate about it. Our life is out of balance. And how can we fix it?
Let me ask you this. What's a destination mentality and how does that affect couples?
People think if we just get this, or if we accomplish this, or when we get there, there is no there. Because for humans, we're intrinsically desired to want more. And so to enjoy the journey, even when you're walking through the desert, realizing if in fact God is in control, then God is in control. Laura and I were privileged to be speaking at a music festival, and Stephen Curtis Chapman was on right before us.
Wonderful friend.
And it was the first concert he did after losing his child.
Yeah.
And he said, he sang the song, He gives and takes away. He gives and takes away. My heart will still say, blessed be the Lord. And he said, if I can't sing that in the midst of what I've just gone through, then I can't sing that when things are going great. And so instead of saying when we get here, saying as we go. And again, being of a certain age, you realize that there really are seasons. And when you're 30 and haven't experienced a lot of seasons in your life and it's really hard, you just got to know and take it from those of us that have been there. this too will pass.
Yeah.
You know, it really will.
And I think a lot of couples, especially younger couples, when we get our first job and we're secure in that, we'll work on that for like maybe 7 or 8 years. Then we'll have children. And then when we've had 2 or 3 kids, then as they've grown up, then we'll do this. And we look for these milestones in life. And when they don't happen, then the expectation is now what do we do? And so instead of working towards those destinations, so to speak, when we get to this, when we get to that, when we make this amount of money, then we'll do this. You're not allowing the Lord to kind of direct what he has for you and where he wants your marriage and your family to go.
What I put in the microwave, he takes out and puts in the crock pot.
That's a good analogy. Couples can tend to fall into patterns of criticizing each other. I mean, we call it pushing your buttons, or and that's at Hope Restored, which is our marriage intensive. That's a lot of what the counseling is how to reorient couples on how to communicate with each other to be more effective and get a better outcome, rather than just pushing a button and going, I'm so, it's such a deception. I irritated her so much, I don't think she loves me anymore. I mean, that's not the goal.
Right. Well, we are really good at Jay's love language. His primary love language is words of affirmation.
Oh, it's good.
And my spiritual gift is sarcasm. So we have to really work.
Your love language is sarcasm.
Yeah. So we have to really work. I have to really work at my words and what I say and how I say it, because I can not meaning to. I see it as humor. I think I'm funny, and I am. A lot of the time.
And I am funny.
I just will let you know
Jay's expense.
that I am funny. But I have to realize what my words come across as.
And for me, I'm a type A driven person who has serious tone of voice issues. And I can make Laura feel 2 inches tall just with my tone of voice. And one of the things that we've come to really try and keep at the forefront of our mind as we're communicating with each other is, if Christ is in you and Christ is in your spouse, the way you speak to your spouse is the way you speak to Christ. And that is mind-blowing. And I never really comprehended that until I realized that Jesus is living in her. And when I speak to her in belittling ways, that is not a celebration.
And another great way to think of that is, you thought your father-in-law was something. Well, her dad spiritually is something too.
Right, exactly.
That's the Lord.
That's right. That's
So when you're talking to her, that does put a little brake on your tongue.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, hopefully, yeah.
You mentioned small arguments, Jay, that there was a right and wrong in the way you thought. You talked about that black and white thinking. So maybe it was early in your marriage, like you needed to win every argument, or what were you expressing?
That was
there?
actually more Laura than me. Because she's the third of
I was
four.
trying to give you a softball, buddy.
Well, she's the third of 4 children, so she was
It
rarely
was
right.
me.
But okay, so I grew up the son of a minister who was in the military.
Okay.
So I live with nothing but fear and guilt, and everything was black and white. I mean, I say this honestly, there was a proper way to fold your underwear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had that stepdad.
Yep. And so, to me, everything was black and white. Laura grew up very much in a home where things weren't black and white. They weren't gray, like fuzzy, we're going to fray the edges gray. It's just like there's different perspectives. And for the longest time, I couldn't understand that. No, my perspective's right. I mean, that's the way it was. And until someone said to me, Jay, if you were both the same, one of you wouldn't be necessary. And I was like, that
I
might be
actually
me.
believe I said it to him.
A good place to end would be on this idea of encouragement. So let's go there. Both of you mentioned your thoughts on the importance of encouraging your spouse, one another, from the wife's perspective. So what would you say to
I think it's
encouragement?
important. I encourage women to, if you could wake up every morning and before your feet hit the floor on the side of your bed, think of one thing positive that you're going to focus on your husband today. Whether it's that he came home early from work, or he picked up his dirty clothes off the floor,
Hooray!
or just that he went to work to provide for the family. But whatever it is, find something, just put that in your mind that you're going to find something today that is positive, and you're going to speak it out loud. Because again, when you speak it, the words that you use are going to either bring out the royalty or the foolishness.
Yeah. What do you think, Jay?
I would say, gentlemen, use your 5 senses to say the words I love you. Say it, Let her see it in your actions. Let her feel it in your touch. Let her smell it in your hygiene, and let her taste it when she kisses you. Encourage her with your love and use all 5 senses, because she needs that. That's what
Yeah.
the word cherish means.
That's good.
All of this encompassed.
Jay and Laura, great insights. Thanks for being with us.
Great to be
Thanks
here.
for
This has
having
been
us.
so good. And to the listeners and viewers, I hope that we've encouraged you today. I think it was lighthearted, but had some power punches in there to remind couples on what to concentrate on. You know, the Bible says that married people should be delighted by each other. Now, some couples just heard that and went, really? And others went, yeah.
Rejoice
And-
in the wife of your youth.
Yeah, and that's the aim. We've got many tools here at Focus on the Family to help you. One is our marriage assessment.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I think we've had over 1.1 or 1.2 million people take that assessment. It's free. It'll show you what you're doing well and what you might need to work on a little bit, and then attach a lot of resources to get that done. Of course, we got this great resource here, Celebrate Your Marriage, 365 daily devotions. For busy couples, that's got to be just about everybody. Gene and I started this morning, so we did the proper date. We actually did 2 because we liked it so much. So aren't we high achievers?
You are.
And so anyway, if you can make a gift of any amount, we'll send a copy of the devotional as our way of saying thank you for being part of the ministry and helping other couples.
Yeah, donate today and help us help couples worldwide to have stronger marriages. You can donate and request that book, Celebrate Your Marriage, when you call 800, the letter A, and the word family. 800-232-6459, or stop by the program description for all the details. And on behalf of all the team here, thanks for joining us today for Focus on the Family with Jim Daly. I'm John Fuller, inviting you back next time as we once again help you and your family thrive in Christ.